Yo, yo, YouTube! It is Monday, the 2nd of October. It's October already, would you believe? I'm going to give you a short video to tell you what I did today, and then I will stop the video and you can watch it. That's how these things work. So, this morning I didn't have a job from last week, and before I carry on, I think in terms of my strategy, I may have mentioned this last time, but I think I want to try and do more jobs from my home location, and I want to try and get work for the following day built in as quickly as possible from my home location. Well, that completely failed today on two counts. So this morning I didn't have a job from last week, so I was looking for a job, and I bid on a couple, and then I did get one. About 8 o'clock-ish, I got a bid accepted on a job going from just outside of Spalding going to Hull. And I like that job because I want to explore the Hull area a bit more. I think there's potentially some decent opportunities coming out of Hull, but I want to try a bit more. So I took that and made my way from the Spalding area up towards Hull. The job that I got was for a small van. It was 82.5 miles, and I bid £85. And I got, it was just one item that I took in my massive van with loads of space left. Got myself up to Hull, but on the way I was looking at other jobs coming up. I was just seeing what Hull was like. And then there was a job going from Hull with a very wide pickup time between 9:30 and 4 o'clock. And that was for a medium wheelbase van. And so I was able to get there in time. But the slight problem was it was going to Lossiemouth, which, if you don't know, is on the north coast of Scotland, just to the east of Inverness. The total mileage is 462 miles, and it's for a medium wheelbase van. And I did think twice about it, because obviously I can't get there and back home tonight for tomorrow morning, having a job from home tomorrow morning. So I'm going to have to get a job from Scotland in the morning. At the time that I put a bid on, I wasn't sure how long it would take, and I wasn't sure what time I was going to arrive there, because I'm still doing my first delivery. So I had a sort of slight hope that I might be able to get it there and offloaded tonight. Also, didn't know what I was taking and how big it was and stuff. But bearing in mind it's medium van base, it probably wasn't going to be. I knew it was a pallet, actually. Yeah, I did know that from the notes. So I knew I probably couldn't handball it off. So I needed a forklift driver. So I thought it was highly unlikely that I'd get there tonight and get it offloaded. So I had to kind of make the assumption that best case scenario is I'd get it offloaded early in the morning. But even with that assumption, the likelihood of me getting any jobs tomorrow are remote, because by the time, if I don't get anything from Lossiemouth or Inverness area, which is unlikely, it's a good 3 to 4 hours to get down Scotland to the busy parts, to Edinburgh, Glasgow. So you're looking at the morning just being spent travelling, dead miling it back down to anywhere where there might be a job. And then maybe you've missed the jobs for going south. And even if you haven't missed the jobs, am I going to actually be able to bid the right amount of money? So I wasn't sure what to bid. And I'll tell you a bit more about this job in a moment, but I'll tell you what I bid. So at the point of bidding, I put £400 on, which was the equivalent of 76p per mile. and I felt that was a fair price. It wasn't an expensive price. It was quite cheap, I would say, but it felt on just about still fair. And I kind of rationalised it that if I combined both jobs I did today, going from home to Lossiemouth, which was about 490, let's say 500 miles for the sake of argument, once I've done a bit of in and out of Hull, then I would have earned £475 in total for the both jobs. So it's not that bad. It's less than £1 a mile, but not a lot less for the two jobs combined. So I felt that it was worth the risk, I suppose, of bidding that price. When I put the bid in, I probably got a call about 10-15 minutes later. So it wasn't immediate. There was a bit of a delay. And I was offered the job. And the guy that called me, seemed really nice. We had a little bit of a chat about it. He made sure I had an empty van and that I had some instructions about where I was going. It was quite specific. So I like that aspect of it, of a shipper who knows what they're doing, knows what they want. And so I accepted the job. I made my way then to my drop-off in Hull. Got that dropped off. Went from there straight away, got some diesel, used the toilet, got some food, and then I made my way to the pickup in Hull. Once I'd done the actual pickup, I then called the shipper again just to let them know that I picked up the load. I was on my way up to Lossiemouth and gave them an ETA for when I would be there. So there's another opportunity to kind of have a conversation with them. And I made sure I updated CX, and I did ask him, bearing in mind it was likely I was going to be delivering in the morning, could I take a co-load up that was delivered to and from today? And he explained that I couldn't do that because the customer could be tracking me. So I said, fair enough, I just wanted to ask, absolutely accept that that's the case, and no issue at all, I'll do it as a single load. So I wanted to wait until I'd picked up the load to find out, what space I had left, and then what sort of my ETA would be to my drop location before I asked the question of the shipper about co-loading. So at the point of doing the quote, there was the possibility, albeit remote, of getting permission to do a co-load. As it was, that wasn't given, and so the amount of money is a bit on the lower side. Bear in mind I can't co-load. Right, so I got myself loaded up, made my way north, and I chose on this occasion just to go at 70 miles an hour as far as I could to reduce the amount of time I was on the road. And I'm sort of using that as a bit of experiment to see whether it makes much difference to my fuel consumption. So when I left, I was due to be... I'm trying to work out when I left. I think, just double check. Right, so I left at 11:40, and my ETA would have been in the region of 8:30ish. So that would have been 7:45. So it's about 8 hours journey from that point. Maybe it's a bit less than 8 hours. I think it was 7 hours 50 if I didn't stop. Remember correctly. So let's say 8 hours. So I just made my way up, and I was thinking about the price as I came up. And I was thinking, really, I want a bit more than 400 for this, because I can't co-load and because I'm going to have to wait till the morning to deliver. Oh yes, so I did call the contact just to double check when I could offload, and I did confirm that I can't do it tonight because they'll be closed. So it'll be tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock when I can offload. So once I'd confirmed that, I had no option but to just go up tonight and then tramp out tonight. Because if I could have emptied it tonight, I would have then just driven back down tonight towards Edinburgh or Glasgow. Because I can't do that, that reduces my opportunity to make money even more. And after I knew that, I thought 400 seems a bit cheap for this. So I called the shipper back and I had a conversation with them. And I really wanted to find out, where did I stand in terms of other bids? Because I'm not going to be able to. Well, I was going to gauge if I could ask for some more money. If I'm honest, that was the phone call. I was ringing to gauge if I could perhaps ask for a bit more money, bearing in mind I felt it's a bit cheap, not expecting to get any more money, but I just maybe the conversation would go that way that I might be able to at least ask the question. In the end, I didn't ask the question because it became apparent to me that I wasn't going to get any more money off this job. And what I learned, before I say this, I must give the shipper a big heads up. I'm not going to name them because it's not for me to do that. But I asked them for some advice, and they gave me all the advice that I could have wanted. It wasn't necessarily that I learned stuff I didn't know, but it confirmed stuff that I already knew from someone who's actually on the other side of the coin. Because I get to hear from drivers what they would like to do, and I know now what I should and shouldn't be doing in terms of pricing. But it's quite good, I think, to hear it from the shipper's point of view. What do they expect, and what are they, what are their what's their side of the coin? So I had a conversation with them, and I would like to say that they were brilliant. They seem to be a brilliant shipper, and I'm going to make a note of their number. And if I'm ever in the area, I'm going to try and make contact with them to do some jobs for them. So if nothing else, I've made a contact to go on my phone to try to keep in contact with them. They're not local to my home, but I think I will try and be available for them if they have some troubles again in the future. Anyway, so that was the preamble to. I felt that they were honest, trustworthy, professional outfit. So I took at face value everything they said. So they told me that they'd had in the region of 30 odd bids for my job, and that really surprised me because it was from Hull, and there was never going to be 30 drivers on the CX app available. I mean, there would have been even if you just count all the drivers in the area that were red and green, i.e. red being unavailable, green being available, there probably would have been 20, I would guess, on the CX app being shown. So there must be a lot of drivers that aren't even having the tracker on that are available to work. Or something going on. So I suppose my learning for this is, and I kind of knew this anyway, but for anyone who's new to CX, there is a who's nearby function where you can see other drivers that are near you. But I'm not sure how much you can rely on that. I think it's quite a poor facility in terms of its accuracy of who's around. Because there's no way there was 29 drivers in Hull when I did my quote that were green and available to work on that app. And the person who was talking to me got the bids through the CX app. So it's a very poor way of relying on who your competition is. It's better than nothing, I would agree, but it's I think not particularly that useful. And I asked for the sort of prices to see where I was in the prices. And the first thing he said, which was interesting, was you were bang on with my price. And I wasn't quite sure what I meant by that. And then, so I talked a bit more about it. And he gave me the lowest and the highest grid. So I'm not going to give you the exact highest and lowest numbers, but the lowest price, and there's more than one that was in this range. There's about 3 at least that were in the region of 50p a mile for this job, which was the lowest. And that is crazy. You cannot earn a living off that going from Hull to Lossiemouth at 50p a mile. Unless you happen to live in Lossiemouth, which I think is highly unlikely. That's crazy. And the highest amount, which really surprised me, was between £800 and £900. I'm not giving you the exact figure, but it was in between those. It was 800 and something, which is it's not £2 a mile, but it's not a million miles off it. And the shipper did say to me, which I found interesting, that when he gets a repeated, like really big quotes like that, he'll end up just blocking those drivers. So it really doesn't pay a driver to be bidding that much for a medium wheelbase van job. I mean, I suppose I'm guessing that those drivers, or the driver or drivers, I don't know how many who were bidding in the 800s, maybe they've got a large truck or a Luton van. Maybe they're doing Luton van prices for that trip. But even so, I think that's a bit too much. Anyway, obviously they're going to end up getting blocks from professional shippers at that sort of level. And so I had a conversation with the shipper, and he told me some figures that were kind of the minimum he'd expect to pay, and the maximum he'd expect to pay, so that he could make money. Now, I'm not going to tell you what that number is, but my figure was pretty much in the middle of that range. So that's what he meant by I was pretty much dead on. And then when I heard that, I thought, I'm not going to get any more money for this from him, and he's been very kind, so I'm not even going to bother asking. He's been kind as in he's very helpful. He's given me advice, which is very, very important. So I wasn't even going to ask the question at this point because I felt that it was not worth it. So my bidding actually in the end was spot on. If I'd gone higher, I probably wouldn't have got the job. If I'd gone lower, it would have been way too cheap. It might prove to be too cheap as it is, to be fair. We'll see what happens tomorrow. There's still an unknown quantity to this, which is what happens tomorrow. Do I get any job? Do I get where from? Do I need to stay out for a second night? Do I need to stay in Scotland? Do I need to work my way down slowly? Maybe that's the way I do it. And the other thing I was going to say is this shipper did say he looks at all the feedbacks, and the cheapest people did have 2 to 4 negative feedbacks. So I did mention yesterday about a small bit of information about my view on feedbacks. I didn't actually mention anything about negative feedbacks because it doesn't really cross my mind. I just don't want to. I don't want negative feedbacks. I try my very best to avoid negative feedbacks, and so far I've not had any negative feedback. I have made mistakes that could have led to negative feedback. There's a couple of things. I cancelled one bid that I completely underbid on accidentally by £100. I had to ring back and say I can't afford to do it for that. They could have given me negative feedback for that. I did a really bad job of securing a load once. They could have given me negative feedback for that, but in the end they didn't. So it's not like I've never made a mistake, but I like to try and rectify my mistakes so I don't get negative feedback, and that I kind of do the best I can to adjust for that. But anyway, so what I want to say about that is I haven't got any negative feedback. I think it's quite difficult to get genuine negative feedback because most shippers have quite low expectations, if I'm honest. Arrive on time, don't lie, be professional, be polite. If you do those things, you're gonna not get you'll get positive feedback, never mind negative. I mean, if you were to get caught lying or very, very, very late, you might get negative feedback. Or if you're rude, that gets you negative feedback. But that's just not in my world. I'm not going to do that in this job. So, if you are a driver and you have got some negative feedback, let's say you've got more than one negative feedback, I would say, no matter how many jobs you've done, if you've got more than one negative feedback, you need to be questioning what you're doing and what you really question that, because you must be doing something really wrong to get more than one negative feedback. Also, I think if you've got negative feedback and it's unfair, you can, go to CX and argue your case and get it removed. So if you haven't done that, then maybe that's the first thing you should do if you haven't got negative feedback. But then if it's been upheld and you've got more than one, I think you need to think about your attitude or your way of doing the work. Because, as I'll repeat it, it's quite hard to get a negative feedback comment, I think. At least that's been my experience so far. So, I think the reason I'm saying that is because the shipper in this case does look at feedback, did look at my feedback, and did give me the job partly based on my feedback. There may have been a job, a bid of $390 that didn't go with because I had maybe slightly better feedback. I don't know. I didn't go that far into detail. So with 30 odd bids, you gotta wonder. There must have been quite a few around about the £400 mark that I got for this. Yeah, so interesting conversation and very valuable, I thought. Right, I'm going to stop the video at that point. I'm going to not give you my stats because I'm going to do the average over today and tomorrow. If I just do today, I'm not actually going to get delivered till tomorrow. It's going to be skewed. For £75 for 500 miles, it's going to be really bad. And if I just do tomorrow, separate today, again, it's going to be skewed. I might get a second job, might not. So I'll just do today and tomorrow as average figures, which I think is a more accurate reflection of the pay that this job has given me for this couple of days. So I don't know yet what tomorrow will bring. I'm probably I need to get something. I need to get some sort of job. Now, whether I stay in Lossiemouth or whether I just head off down straight away is going to be my first decision. I'm going to offload my load about 8 o'clock in the morning. I have set my CX app as my home location as being the Inverness area plus 50 miles. And I have set a future journey for tomorrow morning as being Inverness to Inverness for the whole morning. See if that picks up anything. So between now and then. So let's see. I'll tell you tomorrow how it goes. So I hope you're all well. I hope you're successful in your own terms. How have you defined that? And what have you learnt today?